Hello and welcome to Miss of Time Emporium. Today's walkthrough is going to be a little bit different in that I'm going to be sharing multiple decks that are on the dark side. So I'm going to start out with a deck that's just kind of feels like a gray day to me, like a misty October, November day. And it's the Darkness of Light. And I actually have a pocket edition. So I'm not going to walk through all the cards, but you can see the color palette of this deck is very gray. And then as you get into the suits, it does have a little bit of different coloring in the wands, but still very, very gray. And it just has this very misty, cold feel about this deck. So there's nothing particularly dark about this deck, but it just has an overall dark feeling that I don't use at any other time of the year. Now, some of these decks are little mini decks. I did not order these decks as mini decks intentionally. I ordered them off of eBay and I thought I was getting full-size decks. So, but I do have them now and I do use them on occasion. So the second deck, getting into a little bit darker territory, is the Deviant Moon. Now, a lot of people use this deck and don't have any problems with it at all. I, on the other hand, think this is the stuff of nightmares. It's very Damon to me. And so I don't use this deck again after dark. It's a beautiful deck. The artwork is beautiful, but it's creepy to me. I'm not gonna fib. And then I move on to, this is not a new deck. It's the Nightsun Tarot. And the reason this deck is kind of a don't use it after dark deck, it's a beautiful deck. Also, some of these decks have nudity in them. So I'm just going to give that heads up too, besides some, as we go on, potentially disturbing images. The reason this deck is creepy is some of the pictures are creepy. I mean, they're very cool, but because they're so humanoid, for instance, that's the death card, but they're not quite human. So to me, it's like otherworldly beings trying to be human. And so it's a little bit disturbing to me. Disturbing images. Again, it's a lot of beautiful artwork, but, something that's just a little bit, there's an element of it. They're almost like fae or something instead of human. So that's the Nightsun Tarot. And then this other deck. Now, I love this deck. Again, I thought I was ordering a full-size deck. It's the Madhouse Tarot. I was kind of glad I got this deck small because the history of this deck is that I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, the creator of this deck was reading the journals of someone that actually went into a madhouse. And so, again, I think the images, it's very good for shadow work. And this deck was done very respectfully. So it's not casually addressing madness, but it's taking a look at the line between genius and madness and those kinds of things, and really makes us question, or at least this deck helps me to question, where does it cross over into madness and who gets to decide that? So again, the creator of this deck, it's not done in an exploitive way. It's done through the eyes of someone that was on the inside. But you see, I mean, there's the genius, right? Are they mad or are they geniuses? Are they both? There's Crowley. So again, I think this deck is beautiful, but I don't like to use it after dark. And I'm not, I love true crime. I've been I've read true crime novels all my life. My dad was a police officer for 33 years, so we heard the tales. He had a pegboard of confiscated weapons and that kind of thing. So I'm fascinated with true crime and that kind of thing. So I don't scare easily. I don't look away easily. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a little warning on this last deck. It's the Murder of Crows. It's a low Scarabeo deck. There's no images in the booklet. It comes in a beautiful box. I'm sure you may or may not have seen it. It's beautiful. I'm dropping things all over the place. Let me actually open this box. Yes, I'm dropping my cards all over the place. It's beautiful on the inside too. Now, again, I think the correct terminology for this deck would be that it's hauntingly beautiful. Excuse me, I'm just picking up some cards here. I don't want to run over them. So definitely hauntingly beautiful. And I don't know where my Fool card for this deck got off to, but we're just gonna start with this one and then see if it shows up. So again, this deck is beautiful, but it's very haunting. There are disturbing images in here. Absolutely. And there's also nudity in here. But I just think this deck is so beautiful. I was apprehensive about getting it, but then I went ahead and did. And this is going to sound so odd, but it has such a gentle energy. It's powerful. It's just so beautiful. And it's that beauty in darkness, right? So I will flip through most of this deck. Just again, it's so hauntingly beautiful, but I don't use it after dark. It's a very shadowy deck, and I have my jet. There's a big chunk of jet here. There's a big chunk of jet here. And then I have another piece of jet as well. You know, I don't think I'm being overly dramatic, but I do try to be careful. So yeah, these are my top decks that I don't use after dark. But I do use them. Again, these images will shake you up. Or at least they shake me up. And I know many people, I heard this many times about this deck. Oh, I love this deck. It's so beautiful. And I thought, how can you use that word to describe those images? But it's true. And then Ashley saw it too and felt the same way about it. So she has a copy of it as well. Anyway, these are my beautiful dark decks. It's quite a messy pile, isn't it? Let me take one quick look to see. Again, I don't want to roll over my cards. You know, sometimes the cards wander off and you don't know where they are. I guess she doesn't want to come out. Thanks for joining me. I hope you get just the right amount of frightened this season. Bye for now.